Welcome to a very special and very awesome Classic Game Room, where I am talking to the editor of the greatest magazine on Earth, Darran Jones, the editor of Retro Gamer. And we're talking about making a segment or something called CGR versus Retro Gamer, CGR cross Retro Gamer. I like CGR versus Retro Gamer Hyper Alpha Turbo Remix Championship Edition 7 HD on the Sega Dreamcast myself. What do you think?
I think that sounds pretty amazing. Although I'm not sure about us being the most amazing magazine in the world. But thank you very much anyway.
Well, if Retro Gamer is not the greatest magazine on Earth, I don't know what is. Maybe Penthouse or something, but probably Retro Gamer. And you recently celebrated your 100th issue. Did you guys have a giant party in the office while you were making the magazine or anything?
I'd like to say that we did, and all the freelancers were there, and we all got tanked on beers, but we didn't. I mean, it's one of those things that basically it's so exhausting, you just want to get it finished. But we did have a nice celebration meal about a week later, which was very nice.
I'm just going to picture that you were all in the office drinking beers. I mean, nobody wants to actually think that work goes into something like Retro Gamer, because the magazine is so much fun to read. It's always bright and colorful, and it's just one of those things that puts me in a good mood. I mean, I love Retro Gamer. That I imagine every moment of every day is fun, and it's just like a nice summer breeze constantly, right?
Well, I won't lie to you. It is hard work, but I can honestly say I've done a few jobs in my time, and I can honestly say that every day I genuinely do look forward to coming into work, because I love the magazine. I love what we can do with the magazine. I love the potential that we still haven't necessarily realized with the magazine. And I still love the fact that even now, some nearly 90 issues later after I first started, we're still coming up with new stuff to talk about, and there's still new areas to discover. So it's just constantly evolving every day. And yeah, I love it. I absolutely love it. And I can say that without a single word of a lie.
And you are a Retro Gamer yourself. We were talking before the interview that one of your favorite games is also one of my favorite games, Robotron 2084, the absolute classic arcade game. Would you say that's your favorite game?
It's a toss-up. I really do love Robotron 2084. I love the tactical feel you get from it when you grip those joysticks and you're moving everything around. The sheer, you need so much concentration to play it, but it's such a immense satisfaction when you get through a wave. But I also love Capcom Strider. It's one of, again, they're tied. At the moment, it's Strider, which normally goes in the front of the magazine. But yeah, I love both games.
There's Strider on the cover here of issue number 100. You've got all the different video game guys.
He certainly is. He's over on the left next to Earthworm Jim.
There he is. Okay. Yeah, he's right behind the Metal Slug guy.
And I think as well that we're one of the only video games magazines to actually show two severed heads on their front cover.
As you should. You've also got...
Well, you know, if you can't put a severed head on your magazine, you might as well just go home.
Yeah, what can you do? Well, you've also got two really hot chicks on the cover, too. You've got the girl from Golden Axe in the bikini. From the
we certainly have.
And the girl from Streets of Rage 2.
Yep, Lace Fielding and Tyrus Flair, I do believe.
See, you're good. You're better with the names than I am. I know the easy ones, like Pac-Man.
Pac-Man, Mario, Sonic, Kirby.
Yeah, I've heard about all of them. So when you were sitting down to celebrate the 100th issue, which is like a celebration of Retro Gamers history as much as video game history, how did you decide, or what was your game plan as to what was going to be in the magazine?
Well, I looked at how other magazines had celebrated their 100th issues and stuff, and I won't name any, but I didn't want to do that. I wanted to make sure that we had the best possible content that we could potentially get. I believe it or not, I actually started planning the issue a year ahead. You know, I genuinely do believe it's a worthy a worthy issue for such an important landmark. All of this content is all exclusive content. You obviously want to put popular stuff in there, but we'd not interviewed Ralph for quite a few years, and he's an incredibly interesting guy, and we just wanted to get a new angle. I mean, we will repeat the same things because ultimately you want to put the popular stuff in the magazines because that's what brings the readers back. But I always try and attack it from a new angle, try a new idea. So yeah, while there's obviously some stalwart favourites in there, it's like all of these articles are obviously the first time we've done them. So we've done Sonic in the past, but we've never done a making of Sonic the Hedgehog with Yuji Naka. We've interviewed Ralph Baer, but we didn't touch on the stuff that we spoke to him in this one. So you just do what you can with you have an idea and then you just try and make it happen.
My favorite article in issue 100 is David Crane's Tricks of the Trade in what actually went into programming Atari 2600 games. This is absolutely fascinating. The part where he talks about building the little race car from what is that, Grand Prix from Activision from way back in the day, and it's like you can only program so many of the little sprites or the blocks or whatever they are, and then they'd stretch them and flip them over, and it's fascinating to me what went into making Atari 2600 games, because as he said, and I've heard from other designers, the Atari was notoriously difficult to program for, and you've always done a nice job covering Atari in your magazines. And I believe the issue that's out right now in the UK is celebrating the 40th anniversary of the Atari 2600, and of course I have an Atari sitting here. I always do. Got like 4 of them. That one doesn't work, but it does look good. I lost my train of thought because once I start talking about Atari, everything else goes out the window. And the other thing I like is the 100 classic gaming moments. And I think the first one I just read was Doom, the first time you wield the BFG 9000. But you're right, that is such a classic moment. Duke Nukem 3D visiting a strip bar. Although I would say the classic moment in Duke Nukem 3D is blowing up the strippers in the strip bar.
Do you know something? I've never actually tried that. I'll have to go back and give it a whirl. I mean the
go rocket launcher.
The classic moments feature was interesting because ultimately, there aren't 100 classic gaming moments. There's thousands of them, man.
A lot of them.
They're all different to different people, but we try to get what we felt were the most significant or the ones we particularly enjoyed, and some of the ones were voted from by readers. I think you can see them throughout the feature. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, I could have quite happily filled an issue with great gaming moments because there's many fantastic games which have all got. I mean, Strider. I'll talk about Strider again, but ultimately, that one game is just. I could easily rattle off 100 great moments about Strider. I won't because that would be boring. But yeah, ultimately, it was. We just wanted to do a nice little light article because the rest of the stuff is quite heavy going. So this is just something that you can dip in and maybe look at it and go, "Oh yeah, I remember that. That was really cool." Or, "Oh no, they should have talked about this. Why didn't they do that?" I'll send them an email and find out. So articles like this always hopefully drive debate and get people talking about your magazine, which is always good to see.
And then another article in there that's really nice is an in-depth article, a much heavier article, as you just said, about the giant video game crash in the early 1980s, which I just found to be a really informative article because I just remember being a kid and getting my, I think the first new Atari 2600 I had, because I remember being a kid, and I think that one Christmas my mom got me an Atari 2600. It was after the video game crash. It was after the NES had already come out, and you could buy boxes of Atari 2600 games for probably less than you can now. And that's where I actually got a lot of the games that I still have and have reviewed on the show and whatnot. But it was a nice read. I enjoyed that one.
Yeah, it's quite an interesting one. This was done by Martin Goldberg, and he's just the knowledge he has got about early video games is just astonishing. And one of the things in Europe is we don't really know what happened. We know what happened, but we don't know exactly how it affected you guys, and we certainly didn't know how it affected the publishers and developers of the time. So yeah, an article like this is as fascinating for me as it is for the readers, because ultimately I didn't get to experience it because I wasn't there. You know, I was on, you know, I was many thousands of miles away in a little island on the UK, just like, and again, I couldn't even play the Atari 2600 much because they cost a lot of money. And I didn't have a lot of money back then, so I would go around my friend's Andrew Bacon's because he had one, and I would play Space Invaders and I would play Combat, and I would think it was amazing. But yeah, basically, I'm always fascinated by learning stuff in the magazine, because I feel that if I'm learning something, then my readers are too, and that's what you want to do. You want to educate, you want to inform people. And articles like that do a great job on that.
Well, hopefully we'll get to talk more in some upcoming episodes of CGR versus Retro Gamer Hyper Turbo Alpha. I already forgot the full title. We'll have to iron that out. But I do have a few more questions for you on this one. Are you the person who ensures quality control in Retro Gamer? Because as an American, I think most of the American viewers can probably agree with me on this. The magazines that we're used to are not very high quality, to put it bluntly. They're filled with ads, and most of the time you can just get them for free because they're filled with ads. So when you pick up an issue of Retro Gamer, it's giant, it's glossy, it looks good, it just feels good. It's filled with articles and pictures of things, as well as a few advertisements, but it's not like the whole magazine is a bunch of ads. It's just a beautiful, beautiful magazine. How do you get it to turn out so good each issue?
Well, hard work, to be honest. I mean, you know, basically, I'm the editor, but there's a lot of great guys working on the mag as well. We've had various designers ranging from Steve Williams to Kate Logsdon. We've got a new guy who's just started called Steve Matthews. I've had Stuart Hunt as my deputy editor. He's in charge of like sorting out all the features, and then there's loads of guys behind the scenes as well who like take care of like the advertising, the circulation, and everything else. So, you know, many people see me as obviously the face of the magazine because I'm the editor and my mug is on the front page. But ultimately, you know, it's not just me. There's a lot of us, and we work really hard because it's something that we all care and believe in, and we just want to make it as good as possible.
And in a time when most other print magazines are really sliding under and going away because of the amount of information that you can get from the internet, and I don't know how many young people are really excited about magazines like they used to. Retro Gamer is growing. You're actually growing. You're getting bigger.
We are, yeah, slowly but surely. I've got a couple of reasons for this.
Well, one, it's good. Your magazine is just good.
I think. Well, okay, then I've got 3 reasons then. So if you say it's good, that's great. I also believe that for the most part, what we do in the magazine, you can't get anywhere else. So if you want to read the making of Revenge of Shinobi, you either read it in my magazine or you don't read it at all. If you want to read about Outrun, if you want to find out about Steve Crow, a really talented Spectrum art, you know, it's all in our mag and it's not online. So we don't have this where with current video games magazines where they're obviously all competed against the internet. Sure, we have lighter features and we do retrospectives like a lot of online places do, and that's fine. But yeah, I think the real meat and potatoes of Retro Gamer is its exclusive content, and again, that's come through a lot of great freelancers and through good work with certain PR companies like Sega, Square Enix, who really do go that extra mile to try and help track down old guys that we want to speak to. And then finally, there was a third point as well I wanted to make, and I just can't remember what it was now.
Just say it's good again.
It's just good.
And it's collectible. They're these big, thick. You can just keep them on the shelf, and they look nice. And if you line them all up, I didn't bring any sequential issues. They basically say Retro Gamer on the side. It's a nice touch.
Yeah, again, that was a throwover from the original live publishing days. So I can't be responsible for that. The guys who originally worked on the mag, Martin Carroll and that, they came up with that idea, and a very good one it was too.
Well, we should touch base in another talk here about a great issue, the most recent one here in the U.S. at least, Star Wars X-Wing Saga in issue 102, which is another high-quality issue of Retro Gamer, celebrating 30 years of the ZX Spectrum, correct?
Yep, there is a lot of anniversaries going on in 2012, so I expect to see a few more of them throughout the year.
I'm not allowed to call it the ZX Spectrum, am I?
You can call it whatever you like, because I do believe I've been calling the 2600 the 2600, because that's just what we do in Britain. We say things the wrong way.
Well, some might say you say things the right way, and we say everything the wrong way. Although anytime I say ZX...
I'm a guest on your show, you do things the right way.
Whenever I say ZX Spectrum, I'm always reminded in the comments field on a YouTube video, it's the ZX Spectrum.
Yeah, we typically refer to it as a ZX Spectrum in good old Blighty.
So I shall call it ZX Spectrum, not again, bollocks. Can you say bollocks? I want to hear it.
Bollocks.
Yes, I just love the way you guys say that. It's awesome. That's such a great word. We need to talk again, but before I let you go, last question. What's your favorite game console of choice, or computer, since you guys have more of the old school, like ZX Spectrums over there?
If you was to hold a gun to my head...
Which I won't do, unless it's like the Nintendo Zapper.
If you were to hold a Nintendo Zapper to my head, I would most likely say Sega Saturn.
Ooh, good choice.
Yeah, Sega Saturn, because it was an astonishingly good 2D console. It was massively supported by my favourite genre, the shoot 'em up, and it was an underdog. And I love an underdog, and there's a hell of a lot of great stuff on it, including the Amazing Knights. And it never really seems to get the love it deserves. So yeah, I'll go for the Saturn, and after that, it would probably be the Dreamcast and then the Super Nintendo.
Well, you have good taste, my friend. Good taste.
Thank you.
And a great magazine. I think my favorite game console, when you really get down to it, is probably always going to end up being the Sega Genesis. That's the one that I think just hit. When I got that when it was new, it just blew my mind. And even to this day, I still have my original Genesis and just love it. I love the Genesis library. Yeah,
there are some great games on it. Again, there's a lot of great shooters on there as well. So I've got a Sega Nomad, which I believe came out in the US and possibly Japan. We didn't get it in the UK, but yeah, I mean, ultimately, anything which has got a lot of shoot 'em ups on, I'll like, because I love the genre.
And I like that you give your. It's one of my favorite genres too. I'm no good at them, but I love those games. You give them a lot of coverage in Retro Gamer. But tell the audience listening, whether they're American or somewhere else on Earth, or even our alien friends listening from the moon, where can they go to get Retro Gamer? Because while it's expensive by at least U.S. standards, it's actually worth the money. And he's not paying me to say this. I love the magazine. I've been subscribed for 4 years. It's the only magazine I am subscribed to. Where do you go to get Retro Gamer, and how can you get a subscription?
Right, well, the easiest way to get a subscription is to go online. We have our own digital shop. And basically, if you go to www.imagineshop.co.uk, you can buy every issue direct from us. Alternatively, you can take out a subscription, as you said. Just head to www.imaginesubs.co.uk/RET, R-E-T. And if you put in the relevant code, which, depending on the issue, will change, you can subscribe to the magazine and save 25% off the normal selling price.
Well, Darran, we will talk again, and thank you to everybody working at Retro Gamer for making such a terrific magazine. I always look forward to the next issue, and I'm always very happy when I see it arrive in the mail. So you bring.
It's a pleasure to be on the show. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. And you bring quite a bit of joy into my heart each time I read an article, and it's on like the Vectrex or the Atari, or just something just so unexpected to find anywhere in print. Well written with just great photographs. It's just terrific. So love the magazine, and I look forward to speaking again as we do a Mortal Kombat versus Street Fighter style duel where he said beforehand he wants to be Street Fighter, which I guess leaves me as Mortal Kombat, and I am just horrible at Mortal Kombat. Terrible.
Which is rather ironic, because when you think about it, Mortal Kombat had rubbish animation, but you've actually got animation because you've got a show, and I've got simple pages. So
you put a lot of thought into that one.
Well, I've been working on that all day.
Well, we will talk again. So, Darran Jones, editor of Retro Gamer Magazine, the greatest magazine on Earth. So, thank you again, and talk soon.
Thank you very much, Mark.